Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
I want people to believe in me, and I want people to believe in me when they taste my beer. That's what it's about.
You mean you laid underneath it and tried to
Put his tongue up the bung.
I like to actually scoop up the yeast and look at it.
7 o'clock came real early that next morning.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks for dumbing that down for us. You did an awesome job. It's all about food and beer.
Punch me in the junk. Man, that thing was thick.
The point is just beat it like it's your dick.
I like to smell it afterwards.
Are you being sarcastic right now?
And bring your body armor.
I ran into my junk once on a ball valve in a kettle.
That's a true happy ending.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host, Justin Crosley. With me today, Mr. Jason J.P. Petros.
Hello. Hi.
Still often confused as me when I'm out in public. It happened this past week.
Did it really?
To start talking to me for, well, hang on. We got Tasty here. We got Beardy here. Bevo's here as well. But yeah, someone talked to me for like a long time, you know, and no indication that they didn't know I wasn't you until they finally were like, oh, and, you know, I haven't seen you in a long time. I've heard you're married.
Oh,
and I was like,
been that a long time.
I was like, whoa, that is a rumor. And,
conspiracy theory on Reddit, dude.
Yeah, that is not even a well-founded rumor. And he couldn't. He's like, no. And I was like, no, seriously, I'm not. You know, I'm not married. Nah, you're messing with me. And it took a while. I was like, finally, I had to be like, listen, I don't know that I'm the type of person that will ever get. I had to get personal with the thing. I was like, I don't know that it's in the stars for me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a rumor like that comes out of nowhere. You must be talking about JP.
Right.
Oh, you're not JP.
Right. He must not be current because he didn't also ask about Alice.
Right.
You just got married, according to him.
He admitted that he's not current, that he just haven't seen us in a while, and it was a whole thing. But that happens a lot. The JP and J confusion.
That's true.
Yeah.
Once you told him that, did he just spin and pivot on the heel of his foot and then walk backwards?
It did end the conversation. He didn't have much more to say after that. And I said, listen, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Well, you know what? I didn't know that it happened, but at least it's not people getting me, John Plissé, and John Palmer confused anymore.
Okay,
I don't think that happens.
Too many
anymore.
JPs.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. All right. Was he nice to us?
He liked you more than he liked me because once he realized it was me, the conversation ended.
It was over.
Yeah, that was it.
Maybe he was too nervous.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, it's Justin.
Yeah.
I think he was more like, I think I made it awkward because I had to be like, listen, my dad's been divorced 8 times. I just,
had to make your case.
Right. Yeah. So he probably was like, I
embarrassed.
gotta get out of this bathroom.
Yeah.
It all happened in a bathroom.
Right. So. Some of the best conversations I've ever had with fans have been in the bathroom.
Most of the conversations I have with fans happen in the bathroom. There's something disarming about the bathroom. At the Great American Beer Festival, wherever people could see me all over, but most people say hello when I'm taking a leak.
Yeah, I don't know that it's disarming. I think it's you're trapped, and so they can talk to you all they want until you're done, and can escape.
That might be more accurate.
That's why the bathroom it's a honeypot. Really, it attracts you, and then they go, "I gotcha." Yeah, can't leave now.
That's pretty much how it went down.
Great for comfortable conversation.
That's right,
strangers.
Good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, had a interesting weekend.
What'd you do?
Well, we did the first round judging of our Melvin More Beer and Brewing Network National Club competition.
Oh, nice.
That's right. We had just under 70 clubs from around the country enter into the competition.
One per club?
One per
entry
club.
per club?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like the long shot where every single home brewer in America got to enter. This was a club competition.
Okay.
We judged the first round. I'll tell you more about that. And what happens now is we narrowed down that field of just about 70 clubs into 6 finalists. And all 6 of those final clubs will get their beer brewed by Melvin and put into cans and sent to their local market, their local markets. They get to have a party for being a finalist.
Cool.
And then at HomebrewCon and the Brewing Network 14th anniversary party, we will choose and announce the winning club. It'll get down to one winner. So during the week of HomebrewCon, people will have the chance to vote on their favorite of the 6. And then at our BNA 14 party on the Saturday after HomebrewCon, which got a great venue, it's going to be a good party, we will announce the winner. And the winner gets brewed again by Melvin, but distributed nationally to everywhere that they send beer. The beer also will get entered into the Great American Beer Festival Pro-Am competition. The winning club will also win a More Beer brewing sculpture, one of their brew sculptures. There will be a party at the Great American Beer Festival for the winner, so it's kind of it's a whole thing.
It's a thing.
Now, some of you clubs might be saying, as you're listening now, well, why didn't I hear about this? We did have some of that happen. Melvin came to us with the idea, and we just had to get to it. It was a little late, but we got the word out as best we could. I still think we got a great reaction, but with having 70 clubs enter like that.
No, that's big, dude.
Yeah, for a first year. So I was really pleased with the turnout. And then Tasty and Randy came out to help us with all the judging. Thank you for that, Tasty.
Sure.
We got a lot of local judges, including our very own Brian Cooper. I want to give a shout-out to John Watson, who organized the whole thing, a great club organizer, and really helped us do that. Got all the judges together. All of the judges did the first round of the first round. It was a best-in-show style competition.
That's the way to go, man.
No
one needs notes at that level.
Well, and we are still going to send them notes. It's just a little pared down because they weren't judged to style.
Right.
Now, clubs could enter the style of they could give us that information, the style of beer that they brewed.
Yeah.
But we were still, even if it was outside of style, we weren't knocking points off for that. We were choosing the best beer.
The best one, right.
And that was something Melvin was really interested in. They didn't really care too much about styles. And so I said, that's fine, but they're still useful in a judging format to help the judges know what they're tasting. And so, they were allowed to give that information. So of the first round, I think it was 68 entries, somewhere right in there.
You were one short of the best number.
Yeah. I'll double check. Maybe we did hit it. They then passed along 13 beers to the final table, and I got to be a judge on the final table.
Oh, there you go. Oh. You got roped into that.
Well, and I haven't judged a beer in 10 years. It's been a while. And now, those of you who entered, let me just put this out there so you don't get nervous. I made sure the type of judging that would happen in that final panel before I agreed. For example, if I had to really score the beer and write down if there was diacetyl or any other off flavor, and I said, I'm not your guy. I don't think I'm qualified to do that, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But that's not how it went. And we were able to all sit at the table. It was a bit more like a Great American Beer Festival or World Beer Cup type of judging, where us 5 judges actually discussed all of the beers and got to just, talk about their merits and their faults together, and then pick the winners. I was kind of proud of myself that we did taste them all first together without talking about them.
Right.
And we went ahead and picked the ones that we thought would go forward and the ones that would not.
I'm sorry.
Privately.
Remind me again, how many was the pool that you had to
13.
And then you had to send through
6.
Okay.
So,
that's pretty good. You're cutting it
50,
a little bit more than half, yeah.
With the exception of one beer, I was spot on with all the other judges,
Attaboy. There we go.
Including Brian Cooper, who he's a Grandmaster Poobah,
a highly autistic beer judge, that's for sure. Yeah.
And again, with the exception of one beer, I was spot on with what we all. Now, I'll also say all the beers were really good. Now, I don't know about all 68. I didn't call the list down from there.
Right.
But all 13 that they passed on were just great beers.
What styles dominated?
They were all across the board.
Really?
There was an American light lager that went into the finals, all the way up to this beer that I didn't pick. This was the one where I was the dissenting voice.
Okay.
Because it's a real strange style. Tasty, do you even remember what that thing was called? You weren't there right at the finals.
I might have noticed it in the prelims.
It has something to do with this new type of yeast.
Oh, the
Quebec
yeast? Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's very weird.
And so the beer was brewed... It was fermented at 95 degrees.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, didn't taste like that to me. Like, if you had brewed a Saison at 95 degrees, I probably could have told you.
Yeah.
It didn't have that. It just was strange to me.
I think it has lacto in it, doesn't it? Traditionally? It is kind of a...
This didn't.
I think it's kind of a buggy Brett lacto, one of the two.
Well, at least I couldn't taste it.
I could be totally wrong, but...
I couldn't taste it if it did.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything wrong with the beer. I just found it strange enough that, I mean, look, I'm picking 50-50 here of the beers that I have, and it was like, to me, it just, but that one went on.
Okay.
And that's the only one I can tell you that went on. I think they're giving the announcement today, but if you're listening and you brewed a 95 degree you're in the finals. And I didn't vote for you.
Yeah, so fuck off. Yeah, it is weird. It's kind of the new hotness. We had one on Dr. Homebrew a couple months ago.
Okay.
And I felt the same way. It was almost like a watery, like a watery Sam Adams, where it was kind of malty with like some crystal malt, but the flavor was weird, and I don't know if it was just my palate has never really had something like that,
right?
Or if it was a really good beer, I still don't even really know.
Well, this beer was a very yellow beer, but not clear. It did look like a Saison.
Interesting.
And I can't even describe its flavor to you, to be honest. I should have taken better notes so I could, but I just didn't. It was the one that I missed.
It wasn't bad. Yeah. It just wasn't hitting your spot.
Correct. Yeah. And the other judges found it interesting enough that they felt, well, this should move on. It's an interesting beer, and there was nothing wrong with it. So, good luck, Melvin, if that's like the winner. If that's the beer that people choose.
I'll say I've never seen a Quebec style on a beer board anywhere.
Right.
So it would be interesting.
Could happen.
If it wins.
Sort of coming on the scene,
Yeah.
The few I've had have just tasted like Belgians that have been fermented too warm.
It didn't taste
kind of
like that.
In general.
Yeah, this didn't have those... that would have made me boot it as well. Mm-hmm. But no, it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything obvious. I just found it to be strange. But anyhow, you could see it in the nationwide if it wins.
That's cool.
But I had a lot of fun on that final panel. It was cool to judge. We just lined up the 13 beers, and I made a few notes about what I was tasting in different ones, and I could tell which ones were like my early favorites. And then, ultimately just had to go ahead and pick 6. And then I was pleased to find that I was picking the great beers that the other judges were doing.
Yeah.
So now you're a grandmaster by association.
I think so. That's the point.
Minimum.
Yeah. At minimum.
Yeah.
So we had a good time. You can stay tuned for more details on what happens with that. I think they're going to post some of the photos and different content we took on social media, so you can kind of see it. And then you can play along in June when we go to HomebrewCon.
That'd be cool.
And do the whole thing. But
nice.
I do want to thank all the judges who took their time to come out and do that. And, it does give you an appreciation for these competitions.
How so?
Well, it's a lot of effort to get them organized.
Oh, yeah.
And then, those judges, I was watching them. I was taking some video and photos. I'm watching them, do that whole first round, and they're serious about what they do.
Almost too serious, I think. Sometimes serious to a fault, and it's like, wow, this is very... Like, nobody's going to die. It's not life or death, but you treat it like that. And I think that shows the respect for the home brewer on the other end.
Yeah.
If you're that serious about it, you're respecting that person's time and effort that they put into making this beer get into your glass.
Exactly that. And you can tell that they feel a sense of responsibility to those brewers, that they spent time to do this, and they're going to spend the time to accurately evaluate it. And so, my first thought was, God, why does anybody do this?
Me too.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I hate it.
But then I realized, based on the amount of time that they were taking, is they do it because they really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm thankful for that they spent their time. So for me, I'm so grateful but I can also tell that it's something that a certain type of person enjoys.
Yeah.
and these judges,
if you like trains, you're going to be a great beer judge.
Yeah. Right, Tasty? Like, you can tell that those guys enjoy what they're doing.
No, they're very serious, very professional about it. Yes. Yeah. Well, most of them are home brewers themselves, so they're pretty much, appreciate. They know exactly who they're judging it for. Mm-hmm. If they were the home brewer, they'd want it judged correctly as well.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know, that just was nice to see. It was fun to watch them do all of that, and then to get to do the final round, I enjoyed myself.
It definitely takes a certain personality. When I became a beer judge and I did the Sam Adams long shot competition one time, I thought we were done after 2 flights. They were like, all right, we're done. I'm like, oh, cool, God. All right, hey, thanks, everybody. I'm like going around. They're like, oh, you're not going to stay? I'm like, what do you mean stay?
Right.
Like for the second half, I'm like,
bro,
I can't. My palate is done. I don't have. I mean, and a lot of it comes with training. Like Brian Cooper just became Grandmaster.
Okay.
So he's co-host of Dr. Homebrew, by the way. So him and Brian Shaw are both Grandmaster judges, which is
top of the top.
Top of the top, right?
Yeah.
And then you get ranks of Grandmaster 1, 2, and 3. So they've been around it, and they even get tired. But they love the analytical side a lot more than I do, and I think that's what really pushes these people, these beer judges, good beer judges.
Right.
I will say you can just be an average beer judge and just get the points because you're just doing a lot of comps.
Yeah.
But Cooper, especially, I mean, he goes nuance, man. He'll take a long time, 15 minutes to fill out a sheet, 20 minutes sometimes, because he wants to give you those notes, and that's what makes a really good beer judge.
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Because they look at that as valuable content, because they're going to get delivered to you, and you as a home brewer are going to be like, oh, okay, I could do that, and you kind of It's more, I think, maybe sometimes 40% education, 60% feedback.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they were comprehensive. Yeah. Speaking of your experience and then like getting drunk after 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That's something I realize has changed about me and my palate in the 10 years since I've judged something. The last thing I judged, it wasn't even a competition. It was for Celebrator Beer News.
Oh, the tasting notes,
it was
a tasting, or something like that?
Yeah, it was a panel like that. And I remember at the time, they kept having to refill my glasses. It was like 6. And it wasn't because I was chugging, but I kept, in order for me to dial in what I was tasting, I just kept having to take gulps of this beer, and they were all done. And I'm like, is there any more of that one? Is there any? Well, this time around, I barely touched them. I mean, it was a couple of sips out of each one. They probably poured me not more than 3 or 4 ounces, and I think half of each one was still there when we were done judging.
Wow.
So I just I could tell that I was able to, first of all, put a smaller amount on my palate as opposed to a gulp. And then second of all, hone in on what I was tasting faster.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bummer. I didn't even have a buzz afterward. I had 13 beers in front of me, and you're like,
oh, geez. What?
Yeah.
I guess that's the benefit to smoking. It kills half of your tongue, so you only need to cover half.
The other half.
Yeah, right.
That's probably it.
It kills it's like drinking in brain cells. Smoking kills the bad taste buds.
Right.
So there's only the good ones left.
Well, and I made them set my table up outside so I could smoke as I was doing it.
Actually blew smoke into the glass before I drank it.
Right. So it's weird. Every beer had hints of tobacco and cancer.
Right.
Which I wrote in the notes back to the brewer.
Yeah.
You might want to remove the cancer.
Lay off 10% less cancer, please.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So,
well, that's cool. I mean, that's going to make
fun.
you feel good to kind of get back into it, as it were, and the whole analytical side instead of the appreciation side.
Well, yeah, and at least to find some notable evolution of myself. I often think, well, here I am 14 years later, I'm doing the same old thing. But no, there was some notable evolution of my palate. So that was kinda cool.
Be careful now, because now you've just basically opened up the floodgates for people to bring you their beers at NHC.
Oh, yeah.
And actually expect something other than, that's good.
Right.
Yeah. It's not body temperature. It's good.
That's true.
So watch out.
I will. All right, let's get through some announcements real quick. And announcements are brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. You can go to drinkdrakes.com and check it out. They make one of my favorite pale ales, as you know, the 1500. But there's a whole lot of other good beers in there. They're one of the only craft breweries I know of that's still making a great Hefeweizen, as a matter of fact. I'm not saying nobody else makes a Hef, but you don't often see that in the lineup anymore, and you can find that still over at Drake's. They got their Kickback IPA, Aroma Coma IPA, and you name it. They got a whole lot of beer there. So go to drinkdrakes.com and check them out. So, all right. Well, I've been telling you about all our new shows. Just going to tell you again, Entre Cervezas, our new Spanish-speaking podcast, is out there. It's a great program for those of you in the Spanish-speaking world, or your friends. Send it to them. We've got our craft marketing show, Shine Runner Craft Marketing, and Mark over there is doing a good job at getting a lot of information out there to you professional brewers. Of course, we've got JP and Beardy's show, Heads and Tails, our distilling show, our craft distilling program.
That's right. Last episode came up on Friday.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact,
yeah. And then our all-new show, the Hop and Brew School podcast, which I'm really proud of. We're getting some good content done there. Just posted another one of those this week about blending different hops, which was pretty good. And we're recording a bunch more this week. I know that we're doing a sour beer and hops show with Jay Goodwin from the Rare Barrel and Vinny Cilurzo from Russian River are both going to be on that. So be on the lookout for that one in the coming weeks. Check out all our shows over on thebrewingnetwork.com. Our 10th annual Spring Brews Festival is almost upon us. It's happening Saturday, March 30th from noon to 4. Tickets are on sale. You can get them at thebrewingnetwork.com. I do recommend you go over there and you don't wait. I mean, most of you wait till the last week, but our early bird $40 tickets are going to be sold out by then, I can tell you already. And then the price goes up to $50. So get in there early, save yourself a little cash at thebrewingnetwork.com for our Spring Brews Festival. Drake's, by the way, is a sponsor of that. So is the sponsor of today's show, More Beer. They're one of our Spring Brews Festival sponsors. And More Beer wants to change your malt game with Viking Malt. Hailing from Northern Europe, Viking Malt is a family-owned malt house since 1883 and is the largest specialty malt producer in the world. Their base malts are malted from null-lox varietals that don't contain the enzyme lipoxygenase, which leads to trans-2-nonenal in beer, which, of course, is
Everybody
responsible
knows.
for those stale cardboard flavors. Head over to morebeer.com and brew with ingredients from the future.
Future.
All right. You can support the BN by clicking our Amazon links and doing your Amazon shopping. It's a great way to support us. Just go to our homepage and click the Amazon link and then shop away. And thanks to all of those of you who already do that. You can also, for example, subscribe to BYO Magazine. Get yourself a subscription at the normal price, and it supports us that way, too. You can do the same with the American Homebrewers Association. Click that link and get your membership. You can also subscribe and join the BN Army. As little as $2 a month enters you into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway, which is a chance to get $100 to spend over at More Beer. So do all those things to support us, and we would appreciate it very much. Not to mention patronizing our sponsors, because they're good people, and you just go buy the stuff you're going to buy anyway.
Yeah.
But do it from the people that support the BN.
That's right. You go up to them and be like, you are tiny and small. You patronize them, right?
Patronize them, exactly. Yeah. All right. Sign up for information and updates and fun over on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Send your feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. We do love to hear from you, and we put all of that stuff that's worth hearing on the feedback segment of this program. All right. Do we have a Twitter game today?
We do.
Great.
Yes.
Twitter game is brought to you today by the Wine and Hop Shop. Go to wineandhop.com, and most of their items ship within 24 hours. And better yet, Brewing Network listeners get $8 flat rate shipping on orders under 25 pounds. Just enter coupon code BNShipping in the notes field of the shopping cart, and the discount will be taken after checkout. Go over to wineandhopshop.com. Oh, sorry, wineandhop.com. All right, what's our Twitter game?
Well, it's a weird one today, Justin. Today is the 1-year birthday of my daughter, Alice.
Oh, happy birthday, Alice.
I'm here. I'm here with you guys.
Right, ditching her on her birthday. I'm sure she's going to remember it. The first of the many ways you're going to fuck that girl up.
That's true. No, Taryn took the day off, so I was like, all right, just leave him alone. Get in here a little early, finally, for once.
Cool.
But I wanted to know if anybody out there, it's very retrospective, had any life experience or advice for my 1-year-old daughter that they wish they had gotten before they became a 45-year-old doughy homebrewer.
Wow. You are opening up a can of worms here.
I know.
Okay.
But the beauty is she's not going to read it, so it's fine. I can filter that advice, but help me tell her things.
All right. I love this, and I'm curious the chance that you take any of this advice back to her. Write it down for when she can understand you.
I'm going to give you the best 13, and you're going to pick 6 out of that.
Yes, I'm good at that.
He'll get 5 out of 6 good ones.
Hey, man.
That's right.
That's like a D.
All right. Play our Twitter game. It's a lot of fun, and we'll give you a prize if you win. All right. Let's do some feedback. Feedback is brought to you today by the Beer Law Center. Go to beerlawcenter.com, and our friend John can help you out there. He does a great job protecting our trademark, which he can do for you.
Yeah.
He can also do your brewery registration filings. You name it. He's a good guy. He understands the beer industry. And better yet, he's legally a lawyer. So
That's true. I actually saw on Facebook he has 2 interns.
Oh.
He's like hiring. He has paralegals and shit now.
Wow.
I know.
All right.
So he's growing. It's a good thing for you.
Good. Go to beerlawcenter.com. All right. Joel from Gloopy Glopperland, which, as everybody knows, is Canada.
Right.
He writes in...
Or Blobber's Basement. I don't know.
Yes. He says, "Hey, Brewcaster." I assume he meant to make that plural. I've been listening to the archives for the last year. I'm currently in 2013, and I really, did I say really, hate my job. I'm thanking you for making it bearable and making me think of brewing 40 hours a week instead. You guys rock, and since I started listening to you guys, I went from brewing crappy canned extract beer to being featured in the September issue of BYO.
Nice.
So,
hell yeah.
Is that the upcoming September? I guess it's the past.
Yeah,
He's
who knows?
just now getting around to...
Could be.
Is Canada 6 months behind?
I think so, in most things, and I guess the calendar as well. Anyway, he says, "I hope to see this message, probably hear this message," he means, in a few months after I've caught up with the archives. So, well, thanks, Joel. Congratulations on your success with BYO Magazine, and we're glad that we could help. All right, Jeff writes in. Now, this one is an interesting one about a little brewery controversy, apparently. In fact, in the place that our other Hop Grenade location exists, which is in Fort Collins, Colorado. Great town. Go to Hop Grenade while you're there. All right, so Jeff writes in that, Odell Brewing Company of Fort Collins has sparked a minor controversy this week by killing off a cult favorite, which was their Mountain Standard Black Double IPA. And apparently, they put this on Facebook, and you can go read on the Odell page all the comments that people have made about it. Jeff says that this was always a favorite of mine, but I understand the fact that black IPAs or American hopped black ales, Cascadian Darks, whatever you call them, don't really sell. It's also sad because Firestone, he says, did the same thing to his other favorite, Wookie Jack. Mm-hmm. But apparently the controversy is this. It's that Odell is electing to leverage the goodwill and brand identity of Mountain Standard in order to launch a new hybrid IPA style called the Mountain Style. In other words, they're claiming a style,
right?
Like New England IPA did, or like the folks in the Pacific Northwest did with the Cascadian Dark Ale. So they're partially or potentially inventing / claiming a style of IPA,
right,
and calling it Mountain Style.
And I think those other two that you mentioned, I think those got named organically. I don't think that whoever made up,
like a brewery named it.
Yeah, I don't think they go, "I'm inventing this new style. I'm staking my claim." I think it was, New England style just kind of came from the region, and black IPA, whatever, and then people in the Pacific Northwest decided to call it Cascadian because being arrogant. But there's no brewery that says this is a style that I invented and here's what it is.
Okay,
that's kind of new for me.
And they're staking a claim on a beer they're discontinuing.
No.
Oh.
So the beer that they're discontinuing was called Mountain Standard.
Yeah.
And the style that they're now saying they're calling Mountain Style. But apparently, according to Jeff, he feels, and I read through some of the comments from customers as well, that Odell is leveraging. He even says it in this: is leveraging the brand identity and goodwill from their beer Mountain Standard, which is now discontinued,
right,
by using the mountain in the mountain style that
Correct.
they're now making.
Right,
Okay.
right. They're trying to bridge those two things together.
So he goes on to say, while it looks like a really tasty beer, it's 6.5%, 40 IBUs. The hops are Cashmere, Strata, Sabro. He says, I'm writing because I want your honest opinions about the continued subdivision of the IPA style, especially when the marketing, he says, is kind of weak. For example, all of those hops, and even in the description that Odell gives of the beer mountain style, are tropical flavored hops. So his impression is, do tropical flavors really come from the mountains? Anyhow,
that's a good point.
He says he did this because he wants to know our opinions. Plus, I think giving JP some time to vent his spleen is good for his health.
It's true.
He says, keep your jeans loose, but your nutters tight, from Jeff.
So they just made a strong pale and want to make it a new style.
Well, sort of. So they with this, they released a flow chart, essentially, about West Coast style IPAs versus New England style IPAs, and then how mountain style IPAs fit in that kind of
in the middle.
Right.
Okay.
So West Coast, they say aggressively hopped, clear, bitter. Well, it's an IPA. Of course it's bitter, right?
Right.
Dry finish with a malty backbone.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know that that's the case, especially not anymore. That seems like 10 years ago. I don't know. It seems like a combination.
Yeah.
New England style IPAs, intensely aromatic.
How's that different than aggressively hopped?
Thank you. Cloudy.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
Adjuncts.
Yeah.
And then they say fruit, vanilla, or lactose.
As ingredients?
We've had tons of, well, not tons, but we had several New England style IPAs on the show. None of them had fruit, vanilla, or lactose in them.
Sometimes they do, but
sometimes
not as a generalization, no.
Right, but not as the style.
I wouldn't consider it part of the style. No.
Absolutely not.
Right.
And then mountain style IPAs, juicy hop aroma, which to me is New England style IPAs, but
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Hazy, New England style IPAs, low bitterness,
New
again,
England.
modern tropical bright hops, New England,
England.
Yeah,
refreshing finish, that's debatable, no fruit added. Is there...
That's the distinction?
I think so, but fruit in New England IPAs, that doesn't really happen as a style like thing. So
Right.
That's, I guess, the confusion and the kind of raising of the ire of everybody. It's like this.
It's not part of the style. It doesn't differentiate because it's so out of the blue.
Right. You're inventing a style based on guidelines that don't even apply to the other styles that you're defining, so you can break away from those predefined styles. It's just based on fake guidelines.
So in order to be mountain style, for example, they would need to add flannel.
That's right.
Or
patchouli.
or leather. Yeah.
Yes, patchouli. I prefer Gangnam style, to be honest.
Right.
But that's just me.
But that's Eastern style.
It's very Eastern style.
There involves a lot of pandas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, like maybe
Gucci.
a little bit of grizzly bear and bobcat. For mountain style.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Bobcat Goldthwait. You got to be very
That's what
definitive.
I meant.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also from Fort Collins, I think.
I love mountains.
Well, to answer the first part of your question, in terms of leveraging the success of the first brand, Mountain Standard, into a new thing, that's their prerogative. It's their brand.
Sure.
They invented that.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I have no problem with. I mean, you could argue that every new podcast we put out, we leverage the Brewing Network brand into something else. I mean, that's just something that you do, and I don't think that they're being deceitful by doing that. It's clearly by the reaction, everybody knows the difference between Mountain Standard Black Double IPA and and now Mountain Style IPA. Everyone knows it's not a black IPA. So in other words, they're not causing confusion. They're not misleading anybody. So that part, I think
it's also a stretch
I don't really care
to say that they're leveraging one thing to push it into the other. But I don't. Yeah, I have no opinion on that.
Because they used one common word.
But in reading through the comments, consumers, or at least the vocal minority, they don't like any of this.
No.
And then, of course, you hear the same thing, that even I say when, like, my favorite beer goes away. They're like, no, don't take away my black IPA. But, my assumption is that the small vocal minority just didn't buy enough of it.
Right.
In order for it to... So I don't think they took it away because it was a great selling beer, and they're like, F you guys. That's just a business decision.
You know what I hate? My customer base. I mean, there's a reason Sully still sells Back in Black. People buy it.
It has a following.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just the way it that's the way it goes, man. You're not going to pull, like, can you imagine if Firestone pulled Pale 31 because it,
wait.
Shit. No, yeah, people just don't buy it.
That was too soon.
Yeah, it was.
It'd always be too soon.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I don't know. I mean, what
do you think of the style definition, like carving a name in that way?
I don't think it matters what I think. I think the market will dictate whether it's a good idea or not. I mean, I think we can talk about how we don't think it's a good idea because, and this is what I think a lot of the consumers were posting, because it's not really a style differentiator. It's not really something new.
Yeah.
However, if they sell a crapload more IPA because of it, I would call it a smart decision.
This new mountain style.
The market will tell.
Yeah, well, I think it's maybe what they're leveraging is the common craft beer drinker to not really understand anything.
Sure.
That's why
not a bad play.
Ballast Point still, still
not
uses
terrible.
the word craft in the thing. That's why like nobody really cares 2 months after a brewery sells out because the more beer drinkers really just don't give a shit. They just want it to be good.
Yeah.
And they're being sold a false bill of goods by saying this is a new style. It's not a new style.
Right.
It's literally not a new style. It's a hazy beer.
You only need to know 3 letters to be a beer consumer.
Right.
Yeah.
PIL. No, shit.
Wait a second.
Well, I forget what it is, but you know what it is.
Well, the only way I'll say it's a bad idea is if it's not required that every mountain style IPA has some kind of flannel label.
Right.
I think that could be the difference.
A flannel koozie.
Even if they all come with a flannel koozie.
Can you imagine?
I'm all in. I think it's a great. Then it's a mountain IPA. So it must be drank from a flannel koozie.
Yeah,
that's a differentiator.
I agree. And then in the dimple underneath the can, beard oil.
Yeah, agreed.
Kind of go like that, like chapstick, and then put it on, and you drink.
Every can comes with beard oil and flannel.
That would be amazing.
Mountain style.
Actually, what they should do, they should co-op the Guinness widget. Beard oil in that.
Oh, put it right into the beer.
Can, pops up. You get the foam on your mustache.
Right.
Conditions at the same time.
Self-foaming mustache oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have an opinion. I guess it does sound like a stretch, but like I said,
all marketing is a stretch. I guess.
I'm not in the business of selling beer, so if it works, so be it.
Yeah.
I don't sell beer.
Way.
Yeah. I guess I help breweries sell beer.
Yeah.
Anyhow, there you go, Jeff. Thanks for writing in, though. It's a good topic. I got to get through a couple more here quick, so we got to get to our guests. But another thanks. It's competition season in my parts right now, Doug says. I assume he means type of the country, part of the country. He says, I'm currently entered 5 different competitions between March and April. To prepare, I've recently gone back and listened to Brew Strong episodes about competitions and counterpressure bottle fillers, circa 2011, he says. I listened to the Saison Brewing with Style episode for guidance and even went as far as to listen to Nate Smith on the Beersmith podcast talking about Saisons a little more in depth. By the way, you can go to beersmith.com and get your free 21-day trial of that awesome brewing software. I also listened to the Beechwood Brewing episode of the session for inspiration before brew day. He says, I use Beersmith to help with many different brewing circumstances, as you should. And in one competition, I have to bring my beer to a gathering. So, of course, I pimped out my beer with custom labels and caps from GrogTag.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I also learned about Oregon fruit from you guys, so I'm using their fruit. Now, this is some real sponsor support here. And then because of the all-new Hop and Brew School podcast, these beers are the first that I'm dry hopping in a keg or conical and trapping the hop aromas and driving them back into the beer with pressure and temperature. Thanks for years of enjoyment. Today I signed up as a corporal in the BN Army.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. He said, I'd like to add you all as co-brewers to my entries, but I couldn't pick one person.
Me.
So I just listed Kimmy Granger.
I thought he was going to say Kim Shimke.
Does that who he means? He goes on to say, I hope that's right. The only Kim we know is Kim Shimke. Who's Kimmy Granger?
Or Kim Wood. But didn't we try to make up a name for her?
Who? Kim Shimke?
Didn't we try to change her last name to something
that,
easily spelled?
That was a Twitter game, I think.
Oh.
Rename Shimke.
Okay.
Did he just reference us on our own fucking show? How you had the audacity? You learned from us, and you have the audacity to out-reference us?
How dare you, student become
How do we
teacher.
send you feedback?
Yeah. At idiotonline.com.
All right.
Probably.
He says, suck it, JP.
No.
Doug from Titletown, USA.
Entitled Town, more like it.
Sick burn.
Got him.
Here's one's kind of long. I'll try to get through it fast. Hi, BN team. I caught wind of this great Instagram account via JP's Instagram, and it was called Intellectual Pooperty.
Yeah, that was a tight Instagram account.
And he said it had a great feed of posts on breweries and beers around the world that were assumed to be infringing on lots of intellectual property, such as Fruity Pebbles, Bart Simpson, Biggie Smalls.
Yeah, basically every Seven Stills label ever.
Right.
But apparently now the account is gone. And he's wondering, and he's bothered by that because he enjoyed it. And I guess there was a Reddit thread about it, too. And the only answer about why it's gone there was that the guy who created it was tired of maintaining it. But he wanted to know if anybody here, particularly you, JP, had any could shed any light on the reason that intellectual pooperty is gone.
Nah, son. Nothing. I have no idea. Actually, it reminded me, I haven't even seen his account in a while, and I can only imagine that maybe some breweries were reporting their posts as intellectual property, because he would just take screenshots of cans that have basically the PayPal design, or like Lucky Charms, and just literally taking characters, or Captain Crunch,
right?
Shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if those breweries just then reported that post as their intellectual property, and
that would be
Instagram took it
interesting.
down. And then I wonder if it just got caught in this thing, and maybe he just got banned, or I don't know. Who knows?
That would be I'd love to know if that was it, because that would be fascinating.
That would be good.
If it were the breweries that got to take down their intellectual property that was somebody else's intellectual property.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That would be good. But hey, man, if you're looking for a new account to follow, shouts out Worst Beer Blog. Go to Instagram, Worst Beer Blog. He basically does kind of the same thing, but a lot of beer industry drama.
Oh, okay.
Like there was a guy who posted some post about how his black beers don't sell. And his black beers matter. Like this really terribly tone deaf shit. And now he's closing his brewery down. And it's this whole thing. And he apologized on Facebook, but his apology was, "I'm sorry that people just don't understand my humor."
Right.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just stuff like that. So shouts out to that dude.
He's like, I have black friends. I eat dinner with them.
That's right. I let them cook my food.
Oh man.
Yeah. So Worst Beer Blog is a good follow.
I think I'll be following that.
There you go. Yeah, you should. It's pretty good.
Now, if they get shut down soon,
it's a blog or it's an Instagram account.
It's Instagram account. I don't know why it's worse. He's on Facebook.
But how does he tell a whole story on Instagram?
Screenshot. He doesn't blog. I think that's maybe part of the joke.
Okay.
But the nuance kind of gets lost. So he'll just if there's a news story, he'll screenshot. It'll be like 8. Whatever, and you can flip through it and he'll post a link, or it's just comments. And really what he does is post some stuff and then other people argue on his feed, and it's just, sort of a troll, but not really, but kind of. He really likes to go after Golden Road.
Okay. Easy
good.
target.
Yeah.
Well, I don't Insta, so that's a bummer.
Facebook. Well, you probably don't Facebook.
Oh,
either.
He's there too?
Yeah.
I occasionally, only because I have to go do that for show stuff.
That's the only reason I'm still on Facebook.
Yeah. I thought you got an Instagram.
The Brewing Network has one. I don't have one. No.
Then who the hell am I following?
I mean, has there been content there?
Is it positive
I
content?
don't know. I have not in a very long time.
I mean, I probably opened one years ago.
I think you have one.
I assumed it was just you stalking everybody on Instagram.
No, I don't even have the app. I'm sure
Stalker portal?
Yeah.
I'm sure I did at one point, but I never used it. I probably opened that and was like, oh, I'll see what this thing is, and within about 90 seconds realized it was not for me.
You don't seem like... I like Instagram. It's tight. I hate Facebook, but I got to be on it. Like you said. But
I don't do any of them anymore.
Instagram's tight. If you like taking photos.
Yeah.
I hope the Worst Beer Blog survives your bump, because the last guy got shut down.
Good point. You're the death wish.
Right. Actually, he had a screenshot of one of our... Beer Pal?
Yeah.
Remember Beer Pal, right?
Yeah.
He went on some retarded rant and made it to Worst Beer Blogs, screenshot and shit. And it was
nice.
funny. I was like, wow, beer circles are small.
Yeah. All right, let me just do the last one real quick. Joe writes in, hey, guys, I've been listening to the show for about a year. Good stuff, slowly catching up on all the inside jokes. And recently, I assume he was supposed to say, recently loved the explanation of the 2&A commercial. He says recently lives the explanation. I don't know. Was sitting around drinking beer today, clearly, and searched the BN on YouTube and found some pretty old videos. So all of this is to say, when's the next On the Road? Cheers from Joe. Yeah, there's a lot of good old video content on our YouTube site. And, it's always kind of on our mind somewhere to do not only more video, but some more on-the-road type stuff. But, it's a lot of effort and a lot of money that we don't really get back. So we only do that when we don't have another, 100 irons in the fire and we feel like taking a little road trip and we have somebody who will do the editing and so on and so forth. So I'm not saying it's gone forever, by no means.
It's on hiatus.
Yeah. In fact, I do think we'll be going to the Hop and Brew School camp, the real Hop and Brew School. By the way, I did not steal that name. The people who do the Hop and Brew School are doing the Hop and Brew School podcast with us. It is a collaboration.
You're not just inviting us in to watch you record the show when you say we're going to Hop and Brew School.
Right. Okay. No. We'll be going to actual Hop and Brew School up in Yakima, Washington. That's not until whenever it's like August or something.
Around harvest time.
And we'll probably take, assuming it hasn't caught fire or sunk.
Flooded.
Both of those natural disasters affect the bunker. We'll take the RV, and we'll definitely be doing some video content from Hop and Brew School, and maybe we can do it a little on the road while we're at it.
Depending on the timing, I might be able to join you.
Okay. Yeah. I will let you know. I think I just got the dates. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce them, but I'll tell you at the break.
All right.
So, all right. Well, let's get ourselves to a quick break. Before we do, this whole segment was brought to you by Brewers Publications, publisher of Goes, brewing a classic German beer for the modern era. All done by Fal Allen. You can visit brewerspublications.com to order a copy of Goes or browse their entire collection of beer and brewing titles. More than 50 of them in all. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Cleophus Quealy is on the program with us. Hang in there. It's The Session.
The 21st Amendment. Watch out! Do you like beer? They make beer. Watch out! Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun. Watch out! Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment. Watch out! The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring Monk's Blood. Made with real monk. Watch out! So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment. Watch out! This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Hey, this is Brendan from Central Coast Brewing. You're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
All right, welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. When you get back to your computer, if you're not at it now, go to greatfermentations.com. Check them out. They're a great sponsor of ours, and they offer specialized grain ordering now. Order any grain in less than 1 pound increments. Perfect for your specialty malts. You can ask to combine or keep grains separate, and you can even tell them to crush the grain that you want. Check them out at greatfermentations.com. greatfermentations.com. All right, as promised, we have Cleophus Quealy in the studio, and joining us is Dan Watson and Jessica Clare. Dan, welcome to the show. How did I do on the name?
You were close.
Oh, damn it.
It's Cleophus Quealy.
Quealy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you listen to the show at all?
Sometimes I do, but I'm not brewing.
So you may or may not know that when you guys first opened, I had a field day with your name on the air.
I heard.
Okay. And I hope you at least know the show well enough not to take too much offense for that. Because, for example, one of my favorite breweries on the planet makes the most ridiculous beer names I've ever heard in my life. I make fun of the Rare Barrel for that.
Barrel, yeah.
Also constantly. So it's almost a thing of endearment.
We keep a list of mispronunciations.
You do? Quealy.
Yeah, like the bird.
Okay. Where does the name come from?
It's a mashup of 2 family names. I had a great-great-great-grandfather named Cleophus. He worked on the Southern Pacific Railroad.
That was his first name?
First name.
I love it.
And Quealy is my business partner Peter's mother's maiden name.
Okay.
So we took the 2 best names in our family and mashed them together.
Okay. Now,
I mean, not Dan and Peter.
No, the best ones.
Yeah.
I do think, if I didn't say it, and I think maybe I did, I was thinking it, the one defense I had was, I actually think you're kind of brilliant for making a very unique name that stands out. And I think I might have said that. I might not have called you brilliant. But at least in the middle of making fun of the name, I would have been like, but you know what? There's not a brewery or anything else on earth named even close.
This was one of the first names we came up with as we were brainstorming.
Okay.
We spent a year trying to think of a name for a brewery. Couldn't think of anything that we really liked. In the end, we concluded that all brewery names suck.
Yeah.
And just went back to the first one.
Okay, I like that, actually. That's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, so it was your great?
3 greats.
3 greats. Did they shorten names back then? Was he Cleo, or was it always Cleophus, do you think?
I don't know exactly, but I think he probably went by Bob or something like that.
I read something completely.
People couldn't remember
his middle name was Tim.
Yeah. I have a feeling it was always Cleophus.
I think
don't know,
so,
just
too.
because those kind of older names were more elegant, and I don't know.
And it would have been rude to shorten.
Yes, a sign of respect. This is my full name, and this is what it is. You will call me this.
Do you have kids, Dan?
I have a brewery.
You have a brewery. Good enough. I was so you did name your kid Cleophus.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's fair. All right. So let me just tell people too. You can go to Cleoph CLEOPH.us. Cleophus. Just put the dot after the. If you want to go follow along at the website. Now Dan Watson here is the founder and brewmaster, and Jessica Clare, you're their general manager.
I am.
How long has Cleophus Quealy been open, and how long have you been there?
We've been open for 4 years.
Okay.
I actually was there for the friends and family soft opening, thanks to a mutual friend that we have. So I've been going there since literally day one.
Okay.
And I started working there about 3 or 4 months after they opened. So
got it.
Yeah.
And you were in the beer industry before that?
I was working at Anchor at the time when I first started showing up. So Anchor
nice.
Brewing. Yeah.
How long were you at Anchor?
I was at Anchor Brewing for about 2 years.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool place.
I like it.
It was a cool place.
It's still a cool place.
Okay. A lot of you cool people seem to have moved on.
Whether or not it's still cool inside is a different question.
I see. Okay.
The building itself is awesome.
Yeah, that is a cool building. Okay. And so you're the general manager, which means you keep the doors open for these guys.
Yeah, I end up doing a little bit of everything.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're happy to have you here to talk about the beer with us, too. So 4 years ago is when you opened. That's
yep,
right?
we had our 4th anniversary in December.
What was your life before the brewery? Did you have a previous career in the beer world, or?
I was working at Google.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. This was my first gig.
What a dumbass. Why wouldn't you stay at Google?
It paid well.
Yeah. It did pay well. That's what I'm saying. You should have stayed at Google.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But you got tired of the tech world, or you just had a dream about a brewery?
I really wanted to make something with my hands, something material. You know, put some creativity into it. You know.
Yeah.
my mom could understand what I do when I make beer.
Right. That makes sense.
So.
You could have a conversation about your work.
Exactly.
But you were not a pro brewer before. Were you a home brewer?
I was a home brewer, yeah.
Okay. How long did you do that for?
Home brewing for about 3 or 4 years. Ended up going to UC Berkeley Extension, taking a bunch of chemistry and biology classes, and went to the brewmaster program at UC Davis.
Okay.
Just to get prepared. There's nothing to put the fear of God in you like opening a brewery.
Yeah, right.
Or chemistry classes. For that.
Yeah, both of those. But you value education, clearly, so you just felt like you needed that background.
Yeah, it really helped.
Quealy.
Yeah, Quealy. Yes, Quealy. So you went from computer science to brewing science. Was that a tough jump for you? Were you always good at the sciences anyway?
Yeah, it wasn't a tough jump. Definitely, it's a lot harder work, making beer and schlepping stuff around and long, sweaty days, but it's more rewarding.
What size brewery did you build?
We have a 7-barrel brew house.
Okay.
And we're making about 500 barrels a year right now, so super small.
I see. Did you buy a brand new brew house, or?
We bought the bottom of the line Chinese stainless.
You did, yeah.
All the warts.
Was it a difficult jump for you to go from only home brewing to this professional system?
With our brew house, no. It's Tasty can attest to this. This is it's basically like big home brewing, just the hardest possible scale at which everything can be manual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you guys are in San Leandro, California, which of course has Drake's. It always has, one of my favorites. 21st Amendment just took over like a city block or something. And you guys are nestled in there too. San Leandro's becoming like a little beer zone.
Yeah, we're really happy about that. Sometimes we do events with all 3 breweries, run a shuttle between them.
Cool.
Those guys are really friendly to us. We're a tiny speck on the map, and they're super cool to us.
You guys have a tasting room people can go to?
Yeah, we've got a big tasting room. We have events going all the time. There's a food truck. We're open 6 days a week. So yeah, it's a destination.
Does your beer really leave the brewery, or is it all sold on premise?
We sell about 25% of our beer to bottle shops and bars, scattered around the East Bay and some in San Francisco. But the vast majority of our beer is sold from the tasting room.
So kegs leave the building as well, not
and
just
bottles.
bottles. Yeah, kegs and bottles. Okay, great. Well, you brought us some bottles of beer today.
We did.
Which is very nice of you. The first one, and I do always make fun of beer names, but this one's too good.
It's real good.
It's good.
Sit down if you're standing up right now.
Kefir and Loathing is the first beer that we've got in our glass today. Who names these beers?
I do.
You do, okay.
It used to be sold in Las Vegas, I'm just saying.
I don't like puns at all.
No.
And then the weird of the beard, I don't know. I'm just a jerk about it. This one's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I would wear a shirt of this one. It's so
I think
good.
that's the problem is most puns are too easy.
Yeah.
And while, if you're working with it, maybe I could see if it's, if you have the kefir lime, whatever, it's a little more obvious.
Right.
But for the common person, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And
But
that's
because
the good
people
one.
know Fear and Loathing,
Right.
they'll figure
It's
it
very
out.
culturally
Yeah. It's way better than
relevant
like
still.
the Pursuit of Hoppiness, for example. Right?
Hoppy burp day.
Yeah. Well, tell us about this beer.
Yeah, this is a Berliner Weiss that's aged in barrels for about 13 months.
Okay.
We fermented this with wine lees, so the yeast from the bottom of a wine barrel from our friend Carl Sutton, who used to have a winery here in San Francisco.
All right.
So we tried this as a sort of a mixed fermentation, and
so when you say you fermented with that, does that mean you did not use Saccharomyces?
That's right. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. So it would have been a blend of the Brettanomyces and Saccharomyces that were coming from the wine.
100% fermented like that.
Yep.
Okay.
You didn't add any souring bacteria? It was just what
we
was
did
present?
lactoculture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we aged it out in barrels and finished it off with some kaffir lime leaf and kiwi.
And kiwi as well.
Yes.
Whole fruit kiwi or what?
Pureed.
Pureed.
Yeah.
Did you pureed or you buy the puree?
We bought this puree.
Okay. Just curious. Not the one's better than the other. I'm always just
I can
for our
taste
listeners.
that it's purchased.
Yeah, right. No, the purees are so good now. I just always want to know what format.
Yeah,
too,
kiwis are annoying.
But yeah, oh gosh, to peel those or whatever.
No, I mean the people from New Zealand.
They are annoying too.
Yeah.
So I love a sour beer, right? I want a pucker, and my first sip of this, it did just that. So well done.
It's not just tart.
Yeah. So when you say, I think I bring it up too because you say it's a Berliner Weiss that you aged, right? But a Berliner Weiss to style would be much less sour than this, right?
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Typically they're not aged for as long or not aged at all. So
okay, true.
This has had some time to develop its character.
And I'm glad it did. It's really nice. Now, I would not be able to pick out the kefir because I have no idea what that tastes like. What is it usually in?
The kefir, it's leaves of the lime, so you get more aromatics off of it. So when the carbonation is coming out, you get more of a just kind of a limey, fruity aroma out of it.
Okay.
This one's a little settled, but you mostly get that in the head.
Gosh, and what's the finishing gravity on this? Is it nothing? It's so wonderfully dry.
About 1.
Yeah, about 1. Just a little like I do. The lime is really up front. And there's almost a little peppery spice or something at the back of my palate at the end. Just a little bit. It's not even heat.
To me, it's coming across as almost like, you said grape leaves is what started it. Like I get like kind of like a grape skin tannin that could be coming from maybe the barrel that you used, depending on what that was.
Yeah, it may be from the fermentation.
Okay. And what kind of barrel was it?
These were Petite Syrah barrels.
All right. French oak, American oak?
American oak.
And you pretty well used before you got them?
They had been, 2 turns or so before we used them.
Okay. Well, then I'm a little surprised it's not oakier with only a couple turns on there. It's nice and subtle. I like that. If it was too oaky, it would cover everything else that you had in there.
Yep.
So you take you put this in a bunch of barrels for, you said 14 months?
13 months.
13 months. And then, of course, you end up blending them together.
Yep.
Did you have to toss any of it?
We did toss one of the barrels. It had a little bit of off flavor from the fermentation that we didn't like. So.
Okay. So for a smart guy like you and a small output like that, that's a really bold decision to make so much beer in barrels where you really have to wait for this product to come to market, right? Like that math almost doesn't add up as a brewery.
Sure. Yeah, we haven't looked at the math, so
perfect. Don't. And by the way, don't rely on my math anyway. It's horrible. But yeah, I just think that's because
we're necessarily a small brewery. We're making beer that we really like. It takes a long time. Our beer. 60% of our beer is barrel aged, and it will take anywhere from 3 to 18 months, depending on the beer. But we're not trying to rush through it, and we're not trying to make massive volumes of it. We've got a really loyal following who come to the brewery. That's where we sell most of our beer. So it's working well for us.
That's a wonderful beer. I really like it. So you must have a fairly large barrel room then too.
Yeah, we've got 60 or 70, wine barrels stacked up in the back of the brewery,
and you just keep things rotating.
Yep.
What about the other 40% of beer? What kind of beers are you producing for that?
We make the occasional IPA.
All right.
We do some classic styles. We have a Pilsner and a Bohemian Pilsner and a Porter on right now.
Okay.
We kind of fill in the barrel aged stuff with. Not everybody loves a sour beer or always wants a sour beer, so we try to mix it up a bit.
But in the kind of short history of craft beer, you came in at a good time for sour beer. Kind of the same with Rare Barrel. They're one of the first 100% sour breweries, right? Whereas maybe even 10 years ago, you'd have had to make more of those IPAs and pale ales, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you don't have much difficulty you don't have to talk people into these styles of beer.
We do some. We actually get a ton of people to the brewery who've never had a sour before. We're getting a lot of people who aren't super beer savvy and who are way more familiar with like wine or cocktails. And they come in and are like, well, I've never had a beer before. I've been to, I've had all these IPAs, I've had all these dark beers and I don't like them. And it's like, well, have you ever had a sour? And they don't even know what that is. So there is still a lot of education to be done. There's a lot of people who still aren't familiar with what they are.
Sure.
Which to me is one of the most fun parts. Like getting to introduce somebody to sour beer is amazing.
Yeah.
And their reactions are incredible. Every once in a while you get somebody who is really upset at you.
Yeah. Well,
why did you do this to me? But for the most part, it's this like realization for people of like, oh my God, I do like beer. Like, and this like click of like, of liking something that they didn't know they could like.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's always been one of my favorites too. Sours were, if people just say flat out, I don't like beer, I always say, well, we can fix that. And don't worry, it won't be a beer that you think. And they'll say, oh, my God, that's beer. On the other hand, though, like you said about kind of people getting mad at you, for those that do know they like beer, I've always wondered if sour beer is not the right name. Because for those who like their clean beer and they know they're clean beer, you're kind of offering them something that sounds like shit, if you think about it, right?
Well, and especially with homebrewers, right? Like, you're trained that sour is bad.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of old school homebrewers, it's like, oh, was this supposed to be sour? And it's like, yes, this is not an accident.
It was
this
intentional.
is what we were going for. Trust us.
Yeah.
So there is still a little bit of that. Well, and then also there's the question, right, of like, is sour too broad, right? Sour is a flavor and not a style.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's some people that we give something, like, especially me at this point, I'm so desensitized to, like, what is sour. So if people ask me, like, how sour is it? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I'll taste something that's, like, mixed fermentation, has some Brett in it. I don't think it's particularly sour. And I'll give it to somebody and they're like, whoa, that is so tart. Like,
sure.
Cool. So there's also that piece, right, of, like sour is kind of a spectrum. And there's a lot of range in there that calling something a sour beer isn't super specific. There's a lot of things a sour beer could be.
Yeah, maybe we need to develop that spectrum a little bit.
Build out our vocabulary some.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the point of being desensitized a little bit to sourness. Do you find in the brewery that, you know, obviously you're tasting quite a bit of it. And you got to taste those barrels all the time. You got to do your blend. And I just wonder... Dan, if you find yourself desensitized too, and are blending things that are even more sour than you thought they were.
Typically not. Typically, you know, we try not to be crazy over the top sour with a lot of our beers. We try to let them be in balance. But yeah, you know, we'll taste through barrels a few times and take barrel notes and say like, oh, that, you know, needs a bit more time. We'll taste it a couple of weeks later and be like, oh, that is done. That is ready.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it takes a couple of shots before you can, you know, taste it right.
Have you
Maybe too much coffee in the morning?
Right.
Have you noticed kind of a pH range that people might prefer?
Yeah, we like ours to land right around 3.5, but, you know, not push much past that. But, you know, we've got to titrate them to really see what's in there. So,
is it something kind of how like IBUs? Some people will also prefer. You have kind of like a recognizable clientele that come in for just the barely tart sour beers, and then you have some people that want the mouth puckering.
We don't really have that. I think people, you know, we have people who definitely come in for the barrel aged stuff. Sometimes, you know, the non sour barrel aged stuff or the sour stuff. We don't really have any super vocal customers who demand, you know, in a particular way. People usually, I mean, seem to like what we make, and we get good feedback on it. Sometimes people want a particular beer back, but we haven't had a lot of vocal customers demanding more sour beer.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good for you.
There's not going to be a pH race.
Who wants
like
to
there was
listen
an
to
IBU
that?
race.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
You know, we really try to go for balance, and it depends on the beer. Sometimes there's a bit more bitterness or dry hopping to the beer. Sometimes there's more body, and that really changes the perception, even though, you know, the amount of acid in there could be even higher. So we try to do what's right for the beer, and we, you know, one of our goals with our beer is not just to make it super far in one direction, super bitter, super sour. You know, we want to build a balanced beer and one that has some really interesting flavor characteristics to it, and has a lot of flavor into it. So we're always trying to make a beer that's more than you expect in the flavor, so that you get a beer that's more of an experience than just like oh, that was really sour. It's like if you want really sour, you can just drink lactic acid.
We can do that for you. Yeah. So I'm already on to the next one, which I want you to describe to me. But I wanted to ask first. I want to ask about your learning curve. Because you didn't go with a very easy beer style to make. Anything barrel-aged, not just sour, right? And not having brewed before except for home brewing. If you're honest with yourself, how do you feel your beers were in that first year, you know, kind of compared to now? Is it a steep curve for you?
It was a gradual curve. You know, our first beers, I think, were well made but weren't super exciting.
Okay.
And certainly our first sour beers didn't come out the way we wanted. We ended up making more kettle sours than barrel sours for the first couple of years. It took some time to really figure out the process and have beers come out the other side the way we wanted. You know, playing with different bugs, playing with different with different barreling processes. So it took actually a while for us to really hone in.
Hit your stride there.
Yeah, and you know, even then, you know, I know an issue that a lot of breweries deal with is THP and off flavors that come with sour beers. Mm-hmm. So working through that took us some time as well. So it was a pretty steep learning curve.
And you found that the kettle sours were just a little easier to manage in the beginning?
Kettle sours are easy to make, but, you know, it's also like a microwave steak.
Gotcha. That's a good point. My grandmother used to make microwave steak all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's a fond memory for you.
Yeah. So the next beer in our glass, another good name, Cassis and Assist is on here. What can you tell us about this beer?
So Cassis and Desist at its base is a Saison. It's been about 6 months in wine barrels. We added black currants to it as well as mulling spices. So allspice, cinnamon, orange peel, nutmeg.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the goal here was very much to hit like a mulled wine flavor profile.
I think you guys nailed that.
I think so too.
Yeah, and all of that allspice is subtle enough that, this isn't your Christmas beer, right? Which is usually what those spices might come in.
Yeah, mulled wine or glue wine is what the Germans call it.
But it is mulled wine. It's just not that like over the top, you're not giving me pumpkin pie type thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's not only like cinnamon and nutmeg.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's what, elderberry, or there's some like thing, like a dried fruit. I don't know. I can't.
That would be the black currant, probably.
The black
yeah.
Currant. Okay.
Well, and there's a little bit of tartness to it, right? Which helps keep it a little lighter. A lot of wintry beers, and especially wintry like spiced beers, are really heavy. So I think that tartness just kind of helps keep it a little lighter on your palate.
Yeah, and more of a year-round. These are great side-by-side also because what you're mentioning of this kind of spectrum of sour. Whereas the first beer is puckering for me. The second one, not so much. It's a lighter sour.
It's a lot more like fruit tartness, right? Than like lacto or, bacteria-driven tartness.
Yeah. Brettanomyces in this beer as well, Dan?
Just some background in the barrels. So in secondary, there was a secondary bread fermentation.
Just kind of to clean up a little bit. Because I don't get that out of it, but it's a very clean. Yeah. It's a clean sour. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but
a lot of Saison yeast on this one.
Okay, got it.
I think the Saison yeast, the spicy phenols that contributes works really well with the mulled spices that were added, and added at a right intensity to where one's not blowing out the other.
Sounds like a sage thyme thing happening too, like a stuffing,
little savory.
Yeah, like Trader Joe's Thanksgiving stuffing chips.
Oh yeah, chips.
But those are amazing. I mean, not the chip part, but that flavoring, that seasoning is kind of there, sort of in the middle.
Yeah,
yeah, it was great.
It's very complex.
Yeah,
all of it. So far, it doesn't sound like you guys just have like a base beer that you put into your barrels. You do different ones. First one was kind of a Berliner. This one is more of a Saison.
Yeah, we have 4 or 5 base recipes that we work with. There's usually a Golden, Saison, Berliner Weiss, a Goza, a couple of others that we kind of keep in rotation. A few dark Saisons, things like that. So we'll tend to riff on a recipe. So we have a lot of Goldens that come out. We've got a Buddha's Hand Golden right now. And sometimes maybe a cranberry or a pomegranate golden or something like that. So but yeah, we try kind of different variations, and we'll release 1 or 2 a year with kind of the same base beer, but we really keep it moving.
I see.
With barrel aged beers, are you just doing a single batch and just filling 3 barrels or so, or are you multi batching the same beer? That way you have more than just 3 oak barrels.
Yeah, we like the benefit of blending. So we'll typically, we've got 16 barrel fermenters, so we'll do a double 8 barrel batch and then fill up 8 barrels with that. So we have kind of good stock to work from usually. And that might land as 2 or 3 different beers depending on how we decide to blend it and release it.
Oh, okay. So you just wait until how the beer finishes and then decide instead of going in with a plan and sticking to it.
Yeah, sometimes we know what we're going for. Sometimes we'll let the beer ferment out and decide how to finish it. That's kind of the fun
beer
part.
decide,
yeah.
It's my whole life. I just wait.
Let the beer decide?
Yeah. I just wait, and then the beer decides for me.
Listen to the liquor, Justin.
That's how we ended up here, folks.
Wise man once said,
let the beer decide.
I am the liquor.
We recently had a Saison sitting around in a barrel, and we were kind of thinking of what to do with it. And we said, hey, let's put some tamarind and some chipotle and some ginger in here.
Wow.
And it ended up being a really lovely beer. Just kind of it had a little bit of a gingery character to it. We decided to kind of push on that, and we were really happy with the results. And that wasn't a beer at the beginning we thought was going to be that. We weren't sure what we were going to do with it, but we were really happy with the result.
To be honest, that sounds more exciting and far less stressful to me, especially when you're dealing with barrels and age, to really have a plan and know exactly where you want it. And of course, what a sense of achievement if it lands there. But if it doesn't, it just feels so stressful to me. Whereas, well, let's see what the beer does, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, we have the luxury. We're a very small brewery. We don't have distribution. We don't have to really keep up with the demands of pumping hundreds of barrels of beer out for distribution and delivering on that beer that we have a contract on. So
sure.
We've got the luxury of time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get us to a break, and only because I want you to think about something at the break. And kind of going back to what I was asking you about the learning curve. Because the reason I'm kind of harping on this a little bit is because the beers are so good. And so I'd like you, if you could, think about a couple of the most important things maybe you've learned over the 4 years, especially anything that surprised you. I'm sure you kind of went in like, all right, I've been homebrewing. I just went to school for this. I got this. And then something might have taken you down a notch after you brewed a little bit. So if you could think about a couple things like that for me.
Hard to narrow it down just to one thing.
Right. Then when we come back, we can dive into that a little bit. Hey, also, for those of you homebrewers out there, don't forget about Grog Tag, your one-stop homebrew customization shop. They have it all, from reusable beer and wine labels to durable metal signs, high-quality coasters, and everything is customizable. So get over to grogtag.com and create with one of their hundreds of templates, and they'll print it on high-quality materials and ship it out to you. It's easy. Check out grogtag.com today and use coupon code BNARMY for 10% off on your next order. All right, we'll be back with Cleophus Quealy after this.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you, and we love giving you something extra for that support. Like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, they're amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com. Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
Hey, this is Julian Trego from Beechwood Brewing, and you are listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We always appreciate your company. And so does iDip. You can go over to iDip and check out their Smart Brew water testing kit, which incorporates a revolutionary photometer system, which is the first and only one on the market with its own app. It's for home or commercial use, so all of you can use it. And it's the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part. It was literally built for me. Or people like me, anyway. You can test for things like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium hardness, pH, sulfate, and more, and only requires 4 milliliters of water for each test. There's a Brewing Network special, too. Podcast listeners enter code TBN10 at checkout. That's TBN10 at checkout. And you can save $10 on either the standard or advanced Smart Brew testing kit. Go over to smartbrewkit.com and check it out. All right. pH being extremely important in the types of beer we've been talking about so far. So you might want to use it just for that. We are still hanging out with Cleophus Quealy. We've got Dan Watson in here and Jessica Clare talking to us about beer. And before the break, Dan, I was asking you, maybe something or a couple of things that either you were surprised about or really learned, since you opened.
Yeah. One thing that really hit me hard, having not worked in a brewery before and not really having, had a concept of how everything worked. Did a lot of research, a lot of planning. When you build your own brew house, particularly when you go cheap, nothing works the way you thought it would, and you just have a real hard time.
That whole get what you pay for thing.
Our brew kettle was a nightmare. We were having, for our first 25 brews, it took 7 hours to get to a boil.
Wow. And why? What did you find was happening?
Problem with the kettle design, problem with the burner. We tried to cowboy it ourselves and paid the price.
That's like the one thing you think is just going to work. I mean, you have a metal vessel and you have a fire. The one thing that you'd assume is going to be fine.
It was a nightmare.
Wow. Fire's usually hot.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, we met Sean and Nico from 21st Amendment. They came to visit us the day we were shoving our kettle into the back of a U-Haul to drive it up to Hillsburg to get it fixed. They lended a hand.
Wow.
Was there just a Bic lighter under there?
Yeah.
It was a 300,000 BTU burner, but it was just the firebox design was really inefficient, and it was all going up the stack and out the side. So we melted our floor. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Melted the floor even.
Yep.
Melted concrete.
Was the burner turned the other way?
Right.
I probably could have told you that. The fire's got to go up.
So it took us a lot of time to really dial in the brew house and get everything working the way we wanted it to. Sure. Probably in retrospect, I would have spent a bit more money. The brew house was not, but by far one of the cheapest investments that we made in the overall brewery. So,
that's a lesson that I have learned, that kind of get what you pay for and keep repeating the damn mistake. In other words, I will still occasionally cut those corners, price-wise, part of because of our budget. And even as I'm doing it, at least I know I'm like, well, it's not going to be that great. I'm going to have to fix some things, or this is going to be harder than it should be, or whatever. It's a tough lesson to learn, but then whenever you're on a budget, it's also a hard lesson to stick to, right? Like, it's not like you're making billions of dollars over there now.
No, not billions.
But you've learned
hundreds of millions.
We're making hundreds of dollars.
You're a 100-aire.
Yeah.
Do you make different decisions now when it comes to equipment, though, based on that?
Yeah, I think about how long I have to live with something for and how many extra hours the paint is going to cost me, and factor that in.
And that high price goes down real quick.
Yeah.
When you look at things that way. Okay. Anything else? Go ahead.
Can we talk about your fermentation space? When I was there, you guys basically have built your own fermentation space, or was it aging space? I forget.
No, it was fermentation space.
Yeah.
When we one of the decisions we made that I don't regret was when we started. We didn't have a glycol system. The only cooling we had was our cold room. We didn't have any stainless steel fermenters. We fermented in plastic conicals, and we built this whole series of fancy insulated caves so we could pull air off the cold room and temperature control our ferments.
Wow.
This is something we've seen a lot of smaller breweries like us doing. Our bright tanks were in the cold room. So was our cold water tank. We had a lot of floods.
Oh no! Yeah.
But that was a cost decision that I don't regret making. We made I think damn good beer. Even with less than ideal equipment, and we've upgraded and replaced that since then.
Okay.
But that was definitely an important factor in helping us get off the ground.
Upgraded and replaced in the sense that now you have glycol.
Yeah, and stainless fermenters.
And stainless out there.
How do you make good beer with kind of a lower budget equipment? I think that's pretty much what a lot of people lament if they're making not really great beer. I have this equipment or I have this. But how do you find your standard and stick to it while you have to basically build other pieces of equipment?
Yeah, but I think in general, good beer is good beer, and it's all about the process and the ingredients that you use. Better equipment makes it easier, not necessarily better beer. There's some limitations to that, but homebrewers make award-winning beer in buckets.
It's true.
Sure.
I mean, not me, but it's
right.
true.
No, we all, yeah.
You'll win something someday.
You've heard of awards, right?
He was clearly talking about Tasty and Beardy.
That's true. I got a third place.
Yeah.
When you were relying on just a like an insulated box, would you kind of try to fill all the fermenters at the same time, so that way you weren't managing different fermentation, trying to keep a different temperature in multiple vessels? Or how
I mentioned that we came from Google, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we had a PLC, cheap PLC, and everything was independently zone controlled. We had that all under control. We could keep even the plastic fermenters within 1 degree Fahrenheit of the target temperature. So that worked actually quite well for us.
You just
so each plastic fermenter had its own
chamber. Yeah.
Chamber. Okay,
yeah.
Not just all of them in one. Gotcha.
And so, well, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this too, Beardy. You're blowing in air, though, to these chambers from the cold box.
Yep.
And so whatever program plus equipment that you wrote would open and close the chambers receiving air
automatic
from the
dampers, yeah.
That's amazing. I think it's really cool, actually.
It was like one of those big homebrew projects you see in Zymergy magazine, right?
Yeah. It sounds like the most ridiculous thing ever, but it's actually quite clever.
It worked great.
And where those chambers are all gone now?
Yeah, we tore them out.
Oh, that's so sad. You were sad to see them go. You built those.
I made someone else do it.
You did.
Someone else is me.
Right. Are there other areas in brewing that your programming background has helped?
Oh, I just wrote we've just relaunched our brewery cult. And we have a
membership program.
Our menagerie of distinguished drinkers, and I wrote the whole check-in system for the brewery.
Nice,
so, yeah,
nerds.
It does come in handy.
Yeah, it's great.
Come in super handy.
So yeah, having a little bit of programming ability comes in handy more than you would think.
Okay,
especially for budgetary concerns,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. All right, how about the next beer in our glass? I believe we're about to taste Violet Delight.
Can I guess which one it is?
No.
Oh, damn it.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a beer this color before.
It looks like grape Kool-Aid.
It is a little Kool-Aid-y.
It's got like a very distinctly purple character.
Yeah, but you're 100% correct. I've never seen a beer this shade.
Right.
This hue.
Ever,
of,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You are a broadcaster.
I've been reading.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You've been reading a thesaurus?
Yes. Front to back.
The Giver.
All right, who wants to tell us about this beer, Dan or Jessica?
I'll go.
Okay.
This was a barrel-aged wheat beer. That we aged this for, I believe, 10 months. Soured up in the barrels. This is very low IBU. This was inspired by an aviation cocktail. So this is one of the beers that we really thought, hey, we want to make a beer kind of like this. So it was very important to us that this be purple.
Okay.
We put flowers in it.
Wait. When you say aviation cocktail, that's like a genre, or it was a thing?
It's a specific cocktail.
It's one cocktail.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's in that?
Aviation cocktail has creme de violet in it. That's what gives it a purple color. It's a gin cocktail with lemon juice and creme de violet.
Got
a little maraschino.
Carthay.
Okay.
Disneyland, yeah.
It's a lovely cocktail if you haven't had one.
All right.
So we finished this with flowers, some purple flowers that gave it its color. We also put some cherry seeds in there, so you get a very earthy sort of cherry note off the nose and off the flavor. That's from a spice called malib.
Okay.
And we put lemon peels in it as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
This one's really good.
Yeah.
Again, in my opinion, high on the sour tartness side, which I enjoy.
Lemon peels help with that.
Okay.
Yeah. You still get that bright citrus from the peel outside of it.
Yeah.
But it's all, it just layers into the sour and the tart.
Yeah, it's not
separate. It's not hidden. It's very soft-handed.
It doesn't wipe out your palate. Like it could, you could easily think that a beer this tart, you might not be able to pick out anything else.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Especially lemon peel.
Yeah.
Which, and you know what, to be honest with you, a lot of times we have beers like that in the studio where people, this has this in it, and you're struggling to find those little nuances. That's not the case.
Yeah, not with this, the lemon. I think you're also right about the cherry. It's pretty deep cherry flavor, not just the bright kind of further into dark cherry.
Very earthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the color came from flowers.
Yep.
Do you think flavor came from the flowers as well?
Very little.
Interesting.
To me, I do get some floral notes to it, and that's what I would have guessed it was just lavender. But is that all you used, or was it just purple flowers? A bag labeled purple flowers.
Oh, we used butterfly pea flower.
Okay.
And you can just buy those petals in bulk or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you throw them in there as petals, and all that color came out?
Yep.
Were the petals white or
they were gray
afterward? Yeah, like what happened? I'm curious. I kind of know what the fruit looks like afterward. What did the flowers look like?
They actually, we extracted only some of the color. When we were cleaning out the barrels, we stained our brew house floor purple with, with the leftover flowers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not like in the cartoons where if you tilt the page, all the color runs off.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my God, they're clear now.
What made you think of using flowers instead of something else to give a purple color?
He's a hippie.
Well, the cocktail is that is inspired by uses creme de violet, which is colored by violets.
I see.
So we wanted to have a flower-driven cocktail.
Yeah.
We use quite a lot of flowers in our beers. That's something we really like doing. We use elderflowers and hibiscus, and we tend to use a lot of different fruits and peels and flowers, spices. So it's a fun palette to paint with.
How many pounds of flowers does it take to get this purple?
In a 14-barrel batch, we put maybe 25 pounds of flowers.
Okay. And does this
Seems
happen?
reasonable.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's a lot of flowers.
Because if you think
pounds.
of the weight of a...
Right, yeah.
It would fill this room.
I feel like you also designed something where you can drive a forklift into a fermenter, and that's
While
how
it's
many...
fermenting.
Yeah, that's how much...
The bad part was getting all those flowers out of the barrels. That's another thing we've learned is really be careful about what you put in a barrel, unless you want to take the head off.
Okay, so that was my next question. These went into the barrels, not into stainless when it was done. Well, that sounds ridiculous. You're also then shoving all of those down in there. Never mind getting out.
Hey, that's why I have a brewer.
Yeah, how do you separate out flower petals?
Yeah, how
from
do you
beer?
get them out?
I wouldn't know.
Not my problem.
That answer. I love that answer.
Stay for the day and come back.
Yeah. I programmed my brewer to do it.
Yeah.
Hello, I am the brewer.
Put this helmet on.
Right.
Yeah. I really like this beer. That came out great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I have a new cocktail to try.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's good.
You might have to have Dan on the heads and tails now, just to talk about cocktails with you guys.
Sure. Are you going to open a distillery soon?
He'll bring the flowers.
No, but my wife works in spirits, so I definitely there's cocktails in my life.
Okay. Yeah. All right, and then the next beer we have in our glass is your. I don't know if it has a great name. I have it as Elderflower Saison. Is that the name? Because it is a good name, but everything else has been so clever.
That is the name. It had a more clever name, but then we decided last minute to change the hops, so that kind of killed our clever name idea.
The name would have been too hard to pronounce.
Now, before...
Basically.
It would have been Hoppy New Year.
Right, yeah.
Happy birthday, New Year.
Yeah.
Now, since you mentioned hops, before we describe this beer, you mentioned that the Violet was really low hopped. And I wonder if that was to say that the others you generally use more hops. So I guess my question is, what kind of IBUs are you shooting for? And do you use aged hops like traditional sour brewers? Or
No, we're not that fancy.
Okay, so
we just use less. Yeah, so the Violet, we really didn't want any hop character on it because we were modeling a cocktail. So I think we, put some token hops in the kettle and got to 1 IBU.
Okay.
Some of the beers, particularly the less sour beers, might be up to 20 or 30 IBU. So the Saison, the Cassis, is reasonably well hopped. Of course, they're all barrel aged for quite some time, and that falls off. But definitely started with a more assertive hop on it.
Got it. Okay, so Elderflower Saison.
Elderflower Saison. So this spent about 13 months in puncheons, actually. We aged them in puncheons that previously held vermouth. Were those the vermouth ones?
It's not called Puncheon's Pilot, because that would be really good.
Too late.
We have some punch and joke beer names.
Okay.
This unfortunately was not one of them. So this spent about 13 months. It's a spelt Saison. So different base beer than the Cassis and Desist. And we added elderflowers to it, dried elderflowers, and then we dry hopped it with Sriracha Ace.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Sriracha Ace. So
I like Sriracha Ace too. Not everybody does.
Yeah, it's very polarizing.
Yeah, I like that one. Some of the lemon I'm tasting in here coming from the Sriracha.
The lemon and dill. The beer itself, and then especially with the elderflowers, was very herbal. It had very an herbal kind of spice character. So we kind of pushed to accentuate that a little bit.
With the dry hop.
Mm-hmm.
So the dill is not added.
No, that's all Sriracha Ace.
Yeah, I got
I've never
dill and I
tasted
was
it so strong.
I don't know.
I don't mind dill, but it does stand out as a flavor. I might not have been the biggest sriracha fan if I picked that out like that. It really stands out in this.
Yeah.
It's nice in this, too. There's also kind of I guess maybe it's the elder, but there's a bit of a mint nose to it as well.
Yeah, that'll be the elderflower.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It started.
Now I'm just thinking about gin because again at Carthay and Disneyland they have a gin with like dill, like a gin and tonic, but with like dill.
Okay.
I don't know, like this and like a gin barrel.
I like this a lot better than gin. I'll tell you that. I'm just not a gin fan.
That's true.
But I do like when people I've had some beers where they say we modeled it after a gin, and then I always like it. It's just the gin in gin that I don't like about gin.
The only gin you like are the gin blossoms.
Yes, not even them. No. Another one, also a different part of the sour spectrum on this. I'd call it very mild.
Very mild.
I don't even know that.
I wouldn't even say it's even tart.
That's exactly what I was going to take a taste again. That I'm not even sure tart quite plays into it.
There's a sourness, but there's still an underlying beer.
It's a little more Brett, a little like Brett farmhousey type of. Is there more Brett in this one?
Yeah, this one we did primary fermentation with the Phantom yeast, saison yeast, and we did secondary with a Brett blend from the Yeast Bay.
Now I think I like it. I know I'm an idiot about it, but when people mention something, I go, "Oh yeah, that." Even Phantom yeast, I'm like, "Yeah,
you're like,
I can taste the." I love a Phantom saison, and so it does have that kind of a saison quality to it.
There's a very malt forward, also maybe more than you'd even expect from a saison. It's very,
and I think the spelt really helps me at least handle the dill. Because I think if it was just an all barley or barley and wheat saison, I think the dill would be too overpowering.
Okay.
But the spelt really hangs on and adds that malty complexity at the finish.
So why spelt, and what does it add that Beardy's kind of getting to here?
Eventually.
No, he said it.
I know. I'm just
yeah, I mean, this was actually our first spelt beer. We hadn't used spelt before, and we like the roundness and the kind of boldness of its presence, and we thought that would give this beer kind of, as you say, something to kind of bulk up the finish on it. So we were looking for something that, we tend to do a lot of wheat saisons, but we wanted something that had a little bit more kind of robust character to it.
Okay.
A little more rustic.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, saison is a huge, super open-ended category, right? One of the few markers for saison is interesting grain character. So spelt's actually a great way to get that, right? It adds a little something that barley doesn't. Very distinct from rye as well.
I was going to say, or I was going to say similar to switching out rye because you just want something a little more.
Yeah. Gives it a little more depth.
And what temperature was this also just fermented in the barrels, like no primary and then goes to barrel?
This one was fermented primary in stainless,
okay,
and then secondary in the barrels.
I'm just curious, saison temperature for your fermentation temperature there. Was that on the high side or?
Yeah, 85, 90.
Oh, it was
like
up there. Yeah. Okay, you just let it go.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't program anything to blow wind from the northeast only. Nothing like that.
We're not that fancy.
That's when he opens up a cool ship.
Yeah. I've actually hacked the weather.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's going to Google air from Cantillon.
Right, yeah. A series of satellites that will direct the air around the Earth. True.
I have faith in you, Dan. I think you could do this. I really like this beer, too.
Yeah.
I can't pick my favorite.
Well, I'll tell you, with this beer, the more you drink it, it's one of those beers where the more you drink it, the more flavors you discover.
Yeah.
The more nuance you get out of it. And you don't find many beers like that. And I think Beardy's right. The spelt really aids in that.
Yeah. That was the key, huh?
Yeah.
Beardy was... I stuck up for him once tonight. You told him he's right tonight.
Well, but
something is odd.
Yeah, something's. I might not live till next week. I think
I texted him to say that, so I'm just really complimenting myself.
Right.
That's all. When I say Beardy's right, I told him the spelt line. I fed him the spelt line.
Okay.
I programmed him.
So now it makes sense.
Right.
Because I was going to have B write up his last paycheck tonight. I didn't know if he...
My first paycheck.
First and last.
Right.
Nobody get in the car with Beardy tonight.
Right.
Truck's going to hit him.
Yeah. It's over.
He's lucky.
So, all right. We got through the beers, which are all wonderful. I just want to make sure we talk about a couple of the other things you guys do down there at the brewery. And you guys like to get involved in your community and some social programs as well, right?
Yeah, we do. Once a month, we partner with a different nonprofit that's local, usually to the East Bay. And we do kind of like a joint fundraiser for them.
Okay.
That's our Saturday socials, so second Saturday of the month. And then also on the first Thursdays of the month, we do Tropical Thursdays. A bunch of us are huge just nerds for tiki bars.
There we
So-
go. That's right.
There we go, JP. Have you been to these events?
No, I went to one, just stumbled upon one,
Okay.
but I don't think it wasn't one of these.
Okay.
Which now I need to go.
Tropical Thursday. you
First
said.
Thursday of the month, we make like a tiki-inspired beer tail. We've done like our own riff on like a 3 dots and a dash. We hit a lot of the tropical, like classic tiki cocktails. And we tiki up the joint, flowers everywhere. We have a DJ who comes out who spins a bunch of vintage surf tunes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's basically just, we do a
Chilled
tiki
out.
night.
I love it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Got any beers aging in some rum barrels?
Not yet, but we've got some on the brain.
Okay.
Okay. That'd be good for tiki night.
Yeah.
Tropical night.
That's true.
Not tiki night.
We do have a lot of tropical beers, though. Lots of passion fruit and pineapple things.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Should have had Dan here for our segment about mountain style IPA.
That's right.
We just did this quick segment that apparently Odell's Brewing is putting out a mountain style IPA. But interestingly, one of the defining factors that they note are all the tropical notes that come from the hops. And we were like, I don't know, Rocky Mountains, tropical. We're not too sure about the.
I've been to a tiki bar in Denver. I do not have high hopes for them.
Yeah. I've been to that tiki bar, and I'm with you. By the way, I went there.
Let's talk tiki bars right now. Let's go. I'm into it.
This one, yeah, not so good.
I don't remember.
The name.
When
It
did
was
we go to
last year. It was.
Okay, so it's relatively new.
It was last year because we went for my birthday, I think, and.
That seems like a great birthday place for you.
I know.
Tiki bar.
There was nothing else going on.
Let's take
so
a guy
I
who
was
hates
like,
liquor
yeah.
going to cocktail. Let's go to a cocktail bar.
It's called the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody can remember his name.
It was called a drift.
Great name for a bar. But
Nailed it.
It was a drift.
So we're on the same page here?
Yes.
It was just friendly, yet terrible service. And then, the cocktails were about $1,000 a piece and not really all that wonderful.
I remember ordering a drink, and they were like, "Oh, we actually can't make it. We're out of maple syrup."
Okay.
And I was like, "Wait,
Yeah.
Maple syrup. Huh?
Should not
One
be,
job!
Should not
That's
be.
a tiki
Well,
bar.
it's
There
also
should
not a
not
tiki-
be maple syrup in this drink.
Right. Yeah.
That's an interesting problem.
That's weird.
Yeah. The Canadian tropics is where that recipe comes from.
Right.
right.
Sounds like the owner of that place is a lot like me. So I got this idea. I want to open up a tiki bar.
Yeah.
Oh, you know a lot about tiki bars? Absolutely not.
Literally nothing.
I know nothing. But doesn't it sound like a good idea?
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to come to your tiki night, tropical night.
Yeah, that
Please
sounds good.
do.
Yeah.
First Thursdays.
First
All right,
Thursdays.
let's go.
And when again is the social? You do?
Second Saturdays.
First Thursdays and second Saturdays. And of course, you can go over to Cleophus, and check out the website and see events there. See places that people can buy the beer. Is that on the website yet? Or they can just call you and ask?
They can email us and ask.
And they'll get an automated response that you programmed.
Yep, we definitely recommend they come check out the brewery. That's where all of our stuff is, and you'll get the best availability, the best lineup.
Okay.
It's a good spot. It's a nice, friendly place. Everyone's
Dog
really
friendly.
nice. Dog friendly.
Ah.
Kids, I think, too, right? There are a bunch of kids
Kids
hanging
as well.
out.
Walking around with the
Games and all
dogs
that.
on the
Yeah.
floor.
Well-behaved adults are welcome too.
Yeah.
Riding the dogs, actually.
Grown-ups on leashes.
Yes, right.
As they should be.
That's a different night.
Yeah,
And I'll come to that one, too.
yeah you will.
Well, thank you both so much for being in here with us. I appreciate it. You coming all the way up from San Leandro.
Absolutely.
And also for bringing us all this wonderful beer. That was really a pleasure to taste. So, Jessica, Dan, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, love it. I'm going to have to get down and check out that tasting room. All right, so we're going to get ourselves to a break, and when we come back, we are going to drink more of this beer because
Nice.
we got some crowlers sitting on our desk.
Let's go.
And you guys sell crowlers out of the the tasting room.
No,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Quealy.
Quealy. I always get that.
Quealy. Yeah, not
Quealy out of
Clearly.
the tasting room.
Quealy.
How long you guys been doing that? Since the beginning, or
We've only had a crowler machine for about 6 months.
okay?
September. We bought it in September.
Were you doing growlers before that?
Yep, and we still are, but
You are.
you know, we want to give people a choice.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious. Is it because people like them, or do you find it a better packaging? Is there any difference between a growler and a crowler in terms of, fresh beer?
Yeah, there's a small difference. You know, both are filled at the tap, so both are going to have some oxidation and then limited
Sure.
shelf life. We try to be careful with the crowlers as well, but Yeah, it's mainly for us a matter of preference. You know, if we want to have shelf stable beer, we won't fill it at the tap.
Yeah, exactly. You got to buy the bottle then.
Yep,
that makes sense. So it's more of a consumer thing too, which I think is cool. Yeah, people love them. That's for sure. I had some folks here from Germany who are beer people, but they're like they're German beer people, and they're kind of into craft beer. But I took them to one brewery; they had never seen that thing before. They're like, "What's with the giant can?
Giant can. Americans always overindulging."
And now one of them said almost that. One of them, Daniela, those of you who've been listening for a long time, she thought it was ridiculous.
Weird,
but it's basically a liter. How could she say it was ridiculous?
Yeah, just because
it's not in traditional glass valve.
Right?
It's not in a stein.
Right.
And the other one, Flo, he was into it. He's like, it's a giant can. What's not to like?
It's very Homer Simpson of him.
He thought it was the coolest thing.
I really like the 32-ounce version instead of being stuck at 64 ounces because I don't want to drink 4 pints of a beer typically.
Really?
Yeah.
Typically, I said.
Yeah, because I'm all in for 4 pints.
Unless it's a Pilsner.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like a Helles.
Oh, I guess I wouldn't have 4
Some people have
pints
friends.
That's a lot.
Some people have friends.
Not in this room, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Have you met us?
Tasty maybe has friends. The rest of us,
a lot of friends.
We're not even friends with each other.
It's true.
So ridiculous around here.
It's true, Mr. Crossley.
All right. Hey, thanks again for being in here. Let me get another chance to let you know about a class over at White Labs because you still got time to sign up for it. So if you want to gain more in-depth knowledge of yeast, join White Labs on March 13th. It's happening in just a couple days. 13th and 14th for their Yeast Essentials 2.0. It's happening in San Diego, and it's a 2-day workshop. But you don't have to go all the way to San Diego. You can sign up for their webinar. So just go over to whitelabs.com/education. That's whitelabs.com/education. And you're going to learn about fermentation control points, tips for maintaining optimal yeast performance, and how to develop desired yeast flavor compounds. You'll learn all sorts of methods for off-flavor detection and sensory evaluation of techniques of different strains, as well as how to properly troubleshoot different fermentation problems. So check it out at either in San Diego, if there's still time for you to get there, or at their webinar. Go to whitelabs.com/education. That's whitelabs.com/education. We'll be right back after this.
This is Matt Brynolfson from Firestone Walker Brewing Company, and you're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
All right. Hey, thanks to Cleophus Quealy. Cleophus Quealy Beer Company for hanging out with us. Dan and Jessica, it was good to have you in the studio. And it's good to have your beer, which I still got a line of them in front of me here. Plus some crowlers to get through.
Yeah, same, dude.
Oddly enough, we all kept our glasses.
Yeah, we don't usually do that. We're like, no, Bevo, do not take those. I'm going to finish those. We've got some refills going.
Yeah.
I like that beer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excuse me. I was having a sneeze attack at the break
buddy?
there.
What's going on?
No, I don't know.
Worry.
More allergies, I think.
No. Doesn't have to be pollen in the air for it to be allergies?
Or love.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm allergic to that, too.
You're allergic to air in general.
All right, real quick, don't forget about the Branding Brews podcast. It's a deep inside look at everything that revolves around branding and marketing a brewery. BrandingBrews.com. They interview industry professionals covering in-depth strategies and topics like labels, packaging, websites, social media content, trademark, marketing, and more. Whether you're in sales and marketing or you own a brewery or you're looking to start a brewery, the Branding Brews podcast is for you. Go to BrandingBrews.com and subscribe to the show wherever you like to get your podcasts. All right. How about our Twitter game?
Let's go Twitter game, baby.
So, I like that you made this one personal, JP.
I did. Now, why not? It's on my mind, and I speak what about is on my mind.
Okay.
Right?
So, what was it again?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
that's what's on his mind.
Something about a baby. I don't
know. Moved on from that topic. No, it's Alice's first birthday today. God bless, a real one.
Yeah.
And we want to know what life advice our listeners would give to her that they wish they had gotten.
When they were one.
When they were one, yeah.
Congrats to you for actually keeping her around for a whole year.
True.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Bro, I tried.
And you did it.
I tried to give her away and get rid of her several times, but
Taryn did a nice job.
Well, right.
So then you failed.
Right. Well, the thing about kids is that their bones are very pliable.
Right. They bounce.
And they bounce.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I learned that. It took me a couple times, but I learned it.
They'll get harder.
Eventually, but
just keep trying.
Yeah, but she'll just get bigger. So.
And by then, it's too late.
It's too late.
You're
like,
attached.
People will know. They'll start noticing that the
she'll
kid's
start
not
having
around
memory.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She can dial 911.
Yeah, like what? How come all the pictures have like a hole in them? It's like Taryn and JP with a hole in the middle.
Researching a serial killer. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, what did people have to say?
Well, we had a couple good ones actually. Jesse said naps and being spanked are only a punishment for the first third of your life, which I thought was pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe Herring.
I don't know. Tough. It's going to be tough to beat
Right,
that
exactly.
one.
That was really good.
Too, yeah.
Okay.
Joe says naps are a gift from heaven. Do not squander them. And find yourself someone who looks at you the way Justin looks at a pack of smokes.
Also,
meaning you want to consume them in
And
a
then
fire.
you want to light them on fire.
And inhale the ashes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a very loving look.
No, right.
Believe me, I don't have a loving relationship with these things. But we're angry at each other.
Brandon says, get your traveling in before kindergarten. You'll have no time once you start, and your Facebook feed will be nothing but younger kids with no responsibilities traveling to parks and playgrounds during the day, and you'll be bitter and jealous and angry.
Okay. It sounds like he's bitter and jealous.
Yeah.
You think?
Project much.
And then someone called Jay, but his handle is just4BN.
Okay.
So I think he created a Twitter account just to play this stupid game.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like we should get a cut from Twitter, but whatever.
Yeah.
He says, don't settle for a quarter. Kids these days are getting $5 a tooth.
I've heard that, actually.
I think I've
wow,
heard
inflation's
something like
real.
that, too. Yeah.
I gave Abby $5 for her first tooth.
What?
See?
Only her
would,
first
though.
tooth, though.
Oh, and then
And
everything else.
but we were on vacation, and I only had a $5 bill.
And
Yeah,
you-
but doesn't
and
it?
you were drunk.
Wait, Bo, doesn't it set a precedent? Like, if you gave her less after that, isn't
Oh, no,
she
I
like,
gave her
what
less after
gives?
that.
And she didn't ask, like, what's up? Like,
No.
She didn't feel like she had disappointed the tooth fairy?
She can't actually do math.
Really?
Yeah.
So she has no memory. She forgot that she got $5.
We live real close to a refinery.
What did she do with the $5?
Good question.
She actually kept it. She still has it.
Wow.
Oh.
One of
Under
you
her
and-
mattress, like a
Still
real
has
investor?
it?
Yeah, she still has it. It's in her wallet.
That's stupid. Spend it.
I was going
Right.
to say, I like that there's one smart person in her family.
Rude.
She just happens to be 8. How old is she? 6?
7.
5.
Good
Got it.
effort.
Thank you.
You can open a bank account with that.
Yeah.
Get some interest.
Yeah, right. Don't put it in a paper bag and put it under your mattress.
Right. Or wallet, as you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As people
my
call it.
my ATM is Tempur-Pedic. Thank you very much.
All right, what's next?
That's it. No,
Oh.
wait. Is there? Hey, hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah, that was it. Only 3 good ones. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. Let me copy it, and I'll paste it. It's from Sean.
Can't just read it.
No, I can't do that.
No.
It's from Sean, and he says that you can't start paying back your student loans if you never leave school.
That's not bad advice.
That's not bad advice,
Defer them forever.
right?
But they stop giving you as much money the longer you're there.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
That's actually more to the point. So it's not like you're racking up an enormous amount more debt. Your loans go down, but you still ain't paying back them big ones.
Right. Yeah, but how do you keep going to school?
Part time.
Side jobs?
You only have to take one class
Yeah.
Okay.
to defer.
All right.
All right. Well,
I didn't figure that part out.
Yeah. Go over to deferforever.com and you'll learn all about it. It's my new website.
I think it's E40's new album.
Defer forever. Yeah.
With a number 4.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's a clear winner here. We can go.
I agree with
we
you.
can go through all the nonsense, but I think the best advice to give to Alice is clearly naps and spankings are only bad for the first third of your life.
True. There you go, Jesse. Nice work.
Yeah.
Good advice. Good advice.
That's great advice. He must have read that somewhere. Nowhere one of our listeners, no way one of our listeners is that clever.
Somebody told him that.
Yeah.
True.
Some listener of another podcast that's smarter told him that about our podcast.
That's right.
That's clearly how that
JP
happened.
texted him.
That's true. I wrote him. Yeah.
Check this out. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. I want to thank once again Cleophus Quealy Beer Company. You can go to cleof.us, Cleophus. I get confused with the .com.
Mm-hmm.
Cleof.us and learn all about them. I do recommend you go check out their beers because they're very good. I'm happy to have gotten them in the studio finally. That was really nice. Good job, JP.
Thanks.
Next week, we got Sun River Brewing Company on the program. And I want to remind you once again that Springfest is upon us. I don't care if you don't live in the Bay Area. You should fly out here for this. We've got over 60 breweries. We have to turn breweries away now, Tasty.
Wow. Well, we're really popular from the very beginning, so I'm not too surprised to hear that.
Yeah. We end up with a great beer list, and brewers are just really happy to come out and pour their beer.
That's why we're so popular. Brewers really love us.
Oh, yeah. It's not because
they bring their best beers, too.
Yeah. It's not because of anything else we do. It's the beer that gets there.
Well, they have an expectation that will be good.
Yeah. So go to thebrewingnetwork.com. You can get your tickets. I recommend you do it soon. You're going to pay Bevo more at the gate, so do it quick. All right, JP, you ready to get us out of here?
No.
Okay, you'll do it anyway. But Tasty, Beardy, thank you. Bevo, great things you do sometimes.
Question mark?
Sometimes. Question mark.
I'm kidding. You did wonderful.
I actually didn't do this. JP did.
I know. That's why I thanked him.
Right, yeah. You don't listen either.
All right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. Thank you to the folks at Cleophus Quealy for joining us from San Leandro. They're out from San Leandro. They make some great sour beers. Check them out. Go to cleof.us for more. If you can't get enough of JP and Bevo and you like Disneyland, then go over to earsuppodcast.com and, download some stuff or whatever and become a Patreon supporter so they can buy more toys for the cats. Get on Twitter for some good beer insight and homebrew info and follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew, Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. Warren is stuck over at Another Beardy. JP knows Twitter is dead, so he's on Instagram at Major Jip, and you can find Bevo there as well, somewhere stalking Target's new sales. Be sure to find the Brewing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great as his charity case.